don't worry to know about blackberry now. You know, just comfy when they have them things. Having blackberry and gun is a thing, you know, comfy. Quite honestly, I ain't really too following up much at the broken promises again in the steel band world and what is really happening. Based on organization, where the organization is concerned, which is Trinidad Tobago. Last year, I think it was, I visited I attended for the first time the convention where they had elections of officer. A lot of promises were made again. New people were introduced to the Trinidad Tobago movement. We yet to see any progress or any improvement where the steel band is concerned. Everybody's still really basically concentrating on the Panorama syndrome, and I think that slowly killing the steel band, because you know by doing that, concentrating on the Panorama syndrome and the steel band, you're helping to make it seasonal, you know. And with the new president that it have, the new executive, I think I yet to see anything new, you know, to show that we going forward. I ain't say anything new yet. Besides the little one or two, we had a lot of bickering with introducing the new national symphonic steel orchestra, something like that. I think that is the name. I can't even pronounce. I don't know what to say about it then. The invention of the G-pan and all these things that really you know, came out in front. I ain't really seeing nothing happening for steel bands, Panman, you know, and certain things. So each his own right now, as you know the case may be. Promising players $1,000 to play for Panorama and feel again them the world. It didn't make any sense. It have a lot more things that you could do, you know, to for the Panman. I don't know to us blame the Panman, because if you don't really get up and go out to look for wait have for you won't really get nothing. Now especially where it have a lot more programs in place to help and people not taking advantage of some of the programs that we wish we had when we were younger at school. You have a national steel orchestra now, or, you know, as the case may be. But again, the progress not there, and it's the Panman. Earlier on, I talk about the Panorama myth, and I want to talk about a band that I do really like. It's not one of my favorite bands, but for me, that is my favorite band. Once you play good music, I support, and I meaning I say I mean the Master Trinidad All Stars. All Stars, yes, is one of the big guns. We have it in the Pan world. It's one of the household name in Pan, and I want to compliment All Stars, because this year 2010 All Stars is going to reintroduce classical jewels, which is a concept that was a mainstay when I was a little boy growing up. All Stars in Queen Soul, big classical concert, and that is something big, and that is just showing that the youths in All Stars together with the older head, they accept where it is, for the bands to progress, not just the Panorama syndrome. And All Stars is a big band, That band could do anything, anytime they feel like doing it, and to bring back this classical jewel concert. I mean, a friend was telling about it, and the people who they have doing the concert with them is their own, nurse, product of All Stars. He's now the musical director of the Defense Force Steel Orchestra, a young fella named Gerard Buku. I mean, I remember competing against Gerard in a school festival. We both tied for first with Arima and Success at that festival. He is one of the guest conductors at the All Stars concert. And this is the kind of thing that the steel band needs to do, to do different things. Have concerts, different type of concert, keep the players active when they are around. Not because of a gig tomorrow, everybody come to the party tonight. So it's a lot of different things. The fight down. Having square pegs in wrong hole. Everybody want to say, I do it, and because of that, you go have, the progress will be a little slower to get things done. I don't think we have enough professional pan people to start to talk about compensation, because the band still have to hire arranger to do the song for you to play, right? The band, the 100 players ain't getting together and say, okay, this is song we're going and play. We're going with this, we're going with that. Everybody do their own music. One person writing the song and everybody learn the parts. It's still one man standing up in front of the band and calling notes and making sure the players could play, right? Unless we change that, don't look for no big star compensation. Yes, the people could do more. Punch people, whoever could ask for more for individual pan player who come out there and sign up night on, night in, night out to get the job done. $1,000 is not the end all, right? You know, you could do different things to encourage the community pan. Yeah, just like how you have all these 10 days gang or whatever where you have going on. The same way you could do something to encourage players to come in the yard to raise $1,000, and it could be a must, so you could get more youth from linemen late and be in the pan yard. You know, because I know when I was younger, it's either in the pan yard or at home. It's either outside with pan or at home, especially when it's either get late in the night. Pan how we outside linemen late, we in the pan yard. If you know you're not practicing what a lime in the pan yard, you know, and things were school. So as far as compensation is concerned, I think you have to put yourself in that position. If you want to be compensated in the pan, become a professional. Learn music, be the arranger, do whatever, and you'll be compensated. But my ideal pan yard is really, I think, to help the people who's part of the band. If you have a studio in the band, in the pan yard, you have no problem. Because especially nowadays where studio equipment easy to come along, it might be a little expensive, but it's easy to come along. Computer, this, that, nice, your keyboard. You have a nice little studio in the pan yard. All them boys who like to play the tune and solo, when they record themselves and hear how they sell a song, and they will be encouraged to want to, you know, to do solo work. You know, some of them could become producers, because when they reach in the pan yard and you have no practice, so they could live in the pan yard and do something positive. You have the classroom, because you have youth in your band too. You understand? And while you want them to play with the band, you want them to also see about the self. You understand? So once you have different things set up in your pan yard properly, you know, nice media room or whatever, invite people into a proper home, and this is why I want to see in a pan yard. The pan yard are back then, every spot they get the water pop a bar. You know, that is not for the pan yard. I saw the man next to the pan yard selling the same beer or whatever it is you want to go and buy. You have to keep certain things out of the pan yard. You understand? At carnival time, you have a bar outside for your supporters who come in to buy, fine, but that is not a mainstay, because the pan is not a club, the pan is not a bar. The pan is a learning environment. And the high youths, you don't want to have a bar at the same place, the high youths. Leave that outside. The PHI and the EPAN. I know it have a little kind of conflict, which one was coming out first and which one come out and whatever. I think the way the both pans, or I think the way they're marketing it, I think, or if they use the marketing for, I'm not really comfortable with it. For the sense that is this, we complained for years when Calypsonians sing pan song, and when they go to the studio, they use pan samples on instead of hiring a live pan man to come and play the original instrument in the song. They just use a sample from on the synthesizer or whatever. They use the pan sample and they play. So we create a pan, and you're telling a pan man that when you're on stage as a soloist or whoever, you have the pan now to get different tones and whatever, and and I think that ain't so done nice with me, because of the fact that we have an instrument, and if you take the natural pan, and I can tell you, if you go by All Stars to listen to All Stars, a piece of classical, you don't have to see them. You could tell yourself you're hearing violin. You could tell yourself you're hearing trumpet. You could tell yourself you're hearing different things. And then when they switch and play something else, if they play a song for strings, you're going to the pan song like strings. That is original. What I like about the instrument though is that the same thing I was talking about with the technology with having the studio in the Panyard is an instrument you could use for studio purposes, in the sense that if that Panman can play a keyboard, they could use the same electronic pan that they invent now to do the programming in the studio, because everything had the MIDI output or whatever. So you could play your pan. You don't need to learn the keyboard or whatever. You could go and do all your bass work here, whatever. They use that in the studio. And that will help a pan man who have a studio now to be able to do your own work, rather than tell me is the ideal instrument for me to move it as a soloist. I think it need businessmen. People who into business, people who into doing things for, if you want to say profit and loss, as the case may be, but you need people with more vision rather than a panorama, because Panorama going on since in the early 60s or however long, and we are 2010, so 2010 gone, so Panorama is 2011. And in the 80s, we hardly had cable TV in Trinidad. Certain areas have cable TV. Now in 2010, cable TV all over Trinidad and Tobago. It's no longer it happened in America Sunday and we get in Trinidad Wednesday or Friday. We now see in the NBA live. We now see in this live. How come HBO or Showtime can't have Panorama live yet? How come BTJ can't have Panorama live? Why do only come in and just get clippings and then go on this and show what to show? Why one of these big stations can't take Panorama and have it worldwide like everything else? Or we complain about what the youth listening to? The youth listening to what is properly well marketed. If the pan is not properly well marketed, then we can't sit down here and complain. We have to examine what this pan thing is about. Is it really just a big line for people? I never sit down home and watch the Premier League and people lining in a football stadium. Everybody just be on the game, up making noise, whatever, watching the football. In Panorama, band playing and people making their own noise in the next corner. So start to think like business people. If you ain't start to think like that, then you could just be doing the same thing over and over every year. We go argue who should I win and who shouldn't win, and who should I this, and this arranger shouldn't be here and this one shouldn't be there. And that's what it is. I mean, there's a lot of things that we are trying, and everybody needs to understand what it is. Yeah, there is sell Panman. Nobody shouldn't play for more than one steel band. But it's not putting things in place for that to happen, because Panorama now is a hustle. A man trying to play for as much band as possible to make by 500 or by 800 or by 1,000 rounds is a hustle. That can happen in football because it's a business. That can happen in the NBA because it is a business. The only time you could play for a next team in the NBA is if they sell you or you become a free agent and you sign. Unless Panman had to think like that, and if more had to think like that, it will still be a hustle. It still won't reach nowhere. Our band will be on stage playing and 10 players will be running from the next side coming because they just play with the band in front. You can't get a good practice in the night because half of your band by different bands practicing. You can't stand up in the panyard and entertain people because you don't have your members of your band there, because everybody looking to live. So as the Jamaicans, as they say, every man on the hustling. That will happen in the pan world. So unless we think it's a business or make it a business, because right now it is not a business. You might get a little money from it, but check how much things you're doing to make the money. So unless we think business, we're just going backwards.